name is Linda, and this is Conrad. We are two of the original four members who started a group in Asbury Park called the Diversity Dialogue Group. The first thing I want to do is read you the purpose that we read before each of our meetings. We are a group of diverse residents and friends of Asbury Park who are drawn together by mutual concern and desire to bridge the diversity gap within our beloved city. We strive to accomplish this through dialogue. Our dialogue consists of two parts, speaking and listening. Our conversations occur in a safe environment where everyone feels free to speak fearlessly and honestly on any topic that is of concern or interest to them. If something said doesn't sit well, we encourage you to take the opportunity to share that feeling within the group and discuss it. Our mutual vision is to expand our understanding of our cultural differences while deepening an appreciation for each other's cultural upbringing. We are working towards gaining greater understanding of our similarities, our differences, and cultural upbringing with the intention of gaining a heightened sense of compassion and respect for each other. So, our group began, it was initially formed after we had what's it called? Sorry, the Charter Study Commission in town, which was discussing changing the city government. One of the reasons for that is because there has been for a long time a divide in the city between the white and the black community, and there needed to be better representation. So we were examining whether or not changing the city government might make a difference. During that process, there were a lot of discussions held with community members about their experiences in the city, what kind of government they thought would help, all the different problems, and how one kind of government or another might solve them. And in the process of that discussion, people from all parts of the city were there talking to each other and sharing their stories. So at the end of the process, the four of us, Conrad and I and two other members, Reverend Gil Caldwell and Pam Lamberton, decided we wanted to continue that kind of conversation because we thought it might help to actually bridge the diversity gap in town if we were talking to each other and getting to know each other and really understanding each other's problems. We met for a while together, the four of us, learned about each other, talked to each other, shared our stories. We were a diverse group ourselves. We were black and white, men and women, gay and straight, and mostly older and some younger. So once we gained a level of trust amongst each other, we started expanding the group, initially to inviting a few people that we knew personally. We read them the purpose that we had come up with, which was just part of what I just read before. We had a shorter version in the beginning. And if they agreed with that and wanted to be a part of that conversation, we invited them in, and then eventually we opened it up to the larger community. In the process of doing that, we discovered that we did need to expand the description in our purpose because we were having sensitive conversations, people talking about race and LGBTQ issues and things. People get triggered, as Conrad says, and you share things with people and you want to be able to talk to them openly and honestly and know that they're going to listen to you and understand you. At one point, someone took something that was said in the group out of the group and said to somebody else, took it out of context, and it kind of became like an incident that upset some people in the community. And so we put in the extra statement about being, if you're uncomfortable with something that you hear, say it in the meeting, talk to us. We're trying to get to know each other. We're not trying to attack each other and say that we're good or bad people. We know that we don't know everything about each other, and we're trying to learn that. So let's keep it in the group and talk to each other in the moment. We added that to our purpose. Over time, we decided deliberately to be a discussion group and not an action group because we thought we needed to get to know each other before we could actually know what kind of actions maybe we even would want to take. So we did that for a number of years, and at some point it became clear that maybe we needed to do something different and do take an action, and that's where Conrad is going to explain.
Hello, everybody. Oh, we got a microphone here now. Okay, this is a new thing. Okay, so, we consciously said we would be a dialogue group because it's rare that you have an opportunity to dialogue without having other agendas, And what happened, I personally went to a master plan meeting in Asbury Park, and it was for 10 years out. And I walk into the meeting, and I can feel it now. I walked into the meeting, and the facilitators who were paid they were paid facilitators by the city were white. And the people on the side, there were stations like transportation, what it is to make a city, different areas, they were volunteers, and they were all white as well. And it did not sit well with me. I felt very uncomfortable. My sister knows here, right? I felt very uncomfortable with it, and I wanted to really walk out. I'm a New Yorker, and it was really strange. I'm here for 8 years in Asbury Park. It felt strange for me to experience this in a city that is over 50% black. It made no sense in my mind, in my spirit, or in my heart. And so I stayed. And I stayed with my uncomfortableness and all of that stuff. And I took that concern to the dialogue group. And we engaged in conversations for a year to create this document. And then thank you. And then we created the document and we sent it to the city council and mayor. And we made a request that they meet with us and dialogue with us. And we were asking them to adopt this, to endorse this. We met over a course of 8 months with city council and mayor. And we had to meet in like twos because of the sunshine law. You can't have more than 3 people, and y'all probably know better than I. And so it was challenging, and we worked through it. And at some point, we realized that the city council and the mayor they were struggling. My assessment, they were struggling to endorse it, because this document is very to the core of racism, a lack of inclusion. So I'm going to read at the top. It says, "We, the residents of Asbury Park, acknowledge over 100-year history of racial and socio-economic disparity and a lack of inclusion in the city, and we pledge individually to redress this history." And so at some point we realized that we as citizens had to take the stand. Because the mayor and council at that point, and this is not to make them wrong, because we are all at different places at different times, they were not, it was just being stretched out. And maybe at some point they would have come around to endorse it. So what we did, we took responsibility as citizens of Asbury Park and supporters of surrounding communities to take this stand, to make this declaration. And I say this is an historic document. It's brilliant, we say. And it deals with the definition of white privilege. It speaks about racism. It goes to the core. In Asbury Park has a history of racism where up until the 60s, from what I have been told, that black people could only go to a certain part of the beach by law. 1960, that's not that long ago. So this is the document we created. I just want to know, do you have any questions or any comments? But we're going to ask you at some point. You'll have an opportunity. Oh, and then so we when we took that stand to declare, we went to the city council meeting, and it was about 15 to 20 of us, and you took 2 lines, you took a paragraph, and it was white, black, gay, straight, tall, short, everybody. It was very diverse, and we made a public declaration, and it was taped on AP TV. Yes, and so it's sometimes you just gotta take a stand.
Yes.
And that's what we did. And you had a question. What we did, we made a request, and it's still this is still in a process. We made a request them as citizens, and it's a follow-up, and they appear to be open to it, and so we haven't followed up with them yet.
Your document exists somewhere online?
We don't have it online yet, but if you want to get a copy of the proclamation, give us your email. We'll send it to you, and we invite you to come to our meetings. And it's, like I said, it's diverse and phenomenal times.
And
Yes,
one
Lil.
thing I want to bring everybody's attention, this is a reflection of every city in America.
Yes,
Every community,
Yes.
urban, suburban, rural, has the same historical issues. Everything south of the Canadian border. The other piece, I would ask everyone to look up terms like racial liberals, racist liberals, because it will describe, because people will say, well, I'm not racist. However, because our country's fabric is socialized and ingrained with institutional racism, not just the individual. There are things we need to begin to recognize
Absolutely.
into our individual selves
Absolutely.
in order to move forward for the greater community.
and thank you for that. And that's why it's very powerful when you take a stand and you speak it.
Yeah.
Then it comes into what is that saying? When you
Existence, when you speak it, it becomes.
it's so. It's so. Yes.
Description of what you gave in the document itself.
Speak up. A little bit.
Sorry, coming from an educational perspective.
Yes.
Your comments and then the document itself looks like a lesson plan to me or a unit plan. And I wonder, if you approach schools about integrating this into their curriculum, and I don't mean Black History Month.
I understand.
mean integrating it into their civics curriculum or into their history curriculum. A part of most elementary schools involves looking at the local community.
Yes.
Starting kindergarten doing that.
Yes.
And there could be we always try to make connections to the community. And so something like this, which talks about the history,
Yes.
but also talks about current events, would be a very powerful lesson in the
I
school. I
think
as
so.
a teacher, I would love to be teaching.
So my request, and that's excellent. My request is that you give us your email, and we can follow up with you. And I'll invite you to come to the dialogue group and come. See, this is a living document.
But for his information coming from the New Jersey public school system, New Jersey Department of Education already has an Amistad requirement and Amistad commission
That's true.
that people don't know about.
That's true.
It's already there. It needs to be implemented.
Yes.
Where you are, but a lot of these other communities
Right,
that don't look like
right.
the Asbury Park or Camden or Newark, it's not being implemented.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was funded
Gotcha.
in 19, it was acted in 1997, been unfunded again.
And there's been a lot of resistance from communities where the administration and others are folks that don't look like me, because it's not an additional thing, it's just teaching the American history as it is. And the curriculum is online.
Thank you. And that's the kind of stuff, like this brings up like stuff that has, you said is there and it's not being exercised. It's an opportunity to bring, because really it's the sign of times that we are in. We are being faced with a lot of adversity, a lot of, it's not just black, it's Latino, it's gay, this is an economic issue. It's that's in there as well. White people who are being displaced, as well as black people, as well as Latino people, as well. It's like it's going across the board, and the more we come together as a collective and engage in dialogue, that's where the healing happens. And I want to, Linda, if we have time, to share that one of the results of around the housing. The result of us having dialogue, and maybe the boardwalk if we have enough time.
So there are a lot of things happening in Asbury Park right now. There aren't maybe total results yet, but there are people now talking to each other, white and black people talking to each other about the inequities in Asbury Park and trying to address them. One of the things that the council has recently adopted is an affordable housing initiative. And we're trying to make that stretch out to the east side by the boardwalk so that the developers also have to deal with that. There's also been some outrage over, putting in a private pool club along the boardwalk, which is even, creating more inequities. They tore apart the boardwalk on the north side, assuming they could just do what they wanted, and there were 400 people who showed up, black and white, all sorts of people, and said, no, don't do this. And in fact, we may still end up with a private pool club, but we are getting our boardwalk back because those people came to a meeting. So the city sees us together, working on issues together, and I think that that is moving the city. Maybe slow, but it feels like a movement to me.
And in the meanwhile, when you see the three of us and a few more, we need help. Just bring
Yeah.
bring up attorneys to get us out.
Yeah,
So what it is.
21 years.
And-
Before the developers.
And I encourage you guys to sign it, to endorse it if you so. Great. I'll send you a copy. Great. And anyone give me their email address or whatever?
Yours, because I didn't bring my card.
My email is on the program. Yes, I'm Conrad.